What's up? It's your boy Reemus, and welcome to the ChampSet podcast, the podcast for champions. Today, we're going to be talking about having no excuses when it comes to the pursuit of greatness, having no excuses when it comes to your craft, when it comes to attaining success, and when it comes to believing in yourself as a champion and believing in your full potential. You are just as good as anyone else. So there is no need to make excuses for why you can't do something, but there is every reason that you can do something. This is an important factor to consider because many people, they see other people doing things, and so as not to hurt themselves by looking at the other person's success or ability to do something or their talent, what they do is they make up justifications in their head on why the other person can do it and they can't do it, or they themselves can't do it, I mean. So, for example, maybe someone's and a lot of the time this comes down to this is an important thing to think about on things that you can do yourself. There are things that maybe other fighters or other champions can do that you can't do. For example, God-given talents like speed. Even though technically you can actually work on speed and you can work on timing, because if you do that, timing would beat speed. But there are a lot of factors that people could work on themselves to get as good as other people, and they don't do it. And in its place, they put in excuses and justify why they can't do it when there's an opening to believe otherwise. So, one of the reasons why people are haters is because of the fact that it hurts them to look at another person's success, and then that automatically reflects on that person themselves not having that success. And when people make excuses, it's almost down the same pipeline. It's not the exact same thing, but they automatically cut it off and make it a similar type of excuse for the same reason. They say, well, that's good that this person maybe gets up at 5 in the morning, but I couldn't do that. Now, so that they don't have to reflect on the fact that if someone is able to get up at 5 a.m. in the morning to get up and train, that is a good thing. That's a spectacular thing. That's something that boxers should do more often when they need to utilize more time. So a lot of the time, what the person will do is just skip over the whole like, let's say someone hears that another person is doing something spectacular in training, or maybe he's doing laps and running really fast and he's clocking really good times. Instead of thinking in their mind, let me challenge him, let me challenge that because my peer is able to do it, then I should be able to do it too. What they do is automatically justify in their head, I probably can't do that. And I probably shouldn't even be able to do that because that's just an advantage or talent that he has. It's not a shortcoming that I have. And I would ask you or recommend you to take a second and reflect on certain things that you make justifications for initially. So, for example, if you were in that position where someone did say they clock fast times when they're running laps or whatever, instead of automatically saying that the other person is fast, maybe just flip it on his head and say, you are not fast enough. Why should they be able to do something and you can't do it? Now, if you give it a go and you really can't, and I mean give it a real go, you really give it your all and you actually can't do it, then that's another thing. But a lot of people, before they give it a go themselves, they make the justification. And they're missing out on the capitalizing on their potential. Because if you never try, then you're never going to know if you can actually do it. And the reason why this is hard for people to do is because, again, as I said before, for a second, you're going to have to reflect on the fact that you have a shortcoming. And nobody likes to think about that. Nobody likes to admit that they do have shortcomings. Nobody likes to admit that they have weaknesses and vulnerabilities. But it's so stupid because every person on the planet, in their niche, in their craft, they have vulnerabilities, they have weaknesses. That's one of the reasons I done Art of Boxing and done the weaknesses breakdowns, because I saw that everyone makes plans based on their strengths, but they don't account for their weaknesses. And it's like, it's a weakness to not be, or to me, it's the biggest weakness, not being able to recognize a small weakness that you have and then account for that weakness. So instead of justifying to yourself why other people can do something and then automatically saying that you can't, flip it on his head and say, well, if that person can do it, I can do it too, initially. And then you go out and you test. That's what you do. You test, and you test in many ways. You test multiple times, and you test with a lot of intensity. And then you find out the real answers of if you can do it or not. And, you know, this is important because a lot of fighters, a lot of people are coming from such a small reality. They're coming from such a small point of belief. They're coming from such a small perspective. And rather than being open to it and just acknowledging that maybe you don't know it all, but there's so much more you could know, or maybe you just don't have it the way you want it now, but there's still a possibility to get it later, they don't do that. Instead, they cover it up with excuses and justifications and all of this stuff. Even when you have clear evidence around you that there is more to life, that there is more to this pursuit of greatness. And the examples of potential and possibilities and success could actually be around it. But because of the filter that you have over your eyes, you're not able to see it. And the problem is, if you can't see it yourself and you're not even aware of it, you can't even take that potential and use it for yourself. So we got to make a promise to ourselves right now. We got to say, no excuses for weakness. No excuses for weakness. No excuses for weakness, no matter what we have to do to make sure that we can reverse it or strengthen ourselves in a certain area. That has to be done. No excuses for weakness. No excuses for weakness. And we have to look around and search for the potential that's around us so that we can be motivated to be just as powerful. And people don't look at the examples that are around us. Just look at Floyd Mayweather. You know, people a lot of the time like to say, oh, he has amazing reflexes. And that's the reason why he gets out of the way of shots before he can see it's even been thrown. Or to you, it appears it hasn't been thrown. But Floyd Mayweather, because of the fact that he started boxing at 4 years old, he can see the micro movements that indicate a punch is coming before another man. So it's not that his reflexes are quicker. It's not that his reflexes may be quicker compared to a lot of people. But it also is the fact that for him, he's been in the game for so long that he's able to see the punch at an earlier stage than the other guy because of the fact that his mind has been trained to see, for example, oh my God, the shoulder moved. So from when the shoulder moves, there's a punch coming, and he can see what type of punch is going to be coming his way. See, for the average person, it's not when the shoulder moves, it's when the glove starts to move. So it gives him less time to move out of the way of the shot. So don't think of it as don't give yourself an excuse to not train hard or not put in hours by saying other guys are gifted, other guys are blessed by God, other guys are just given talent and that's the reason they're like that. Don't do that. Don't discredit yourself because you're not giving yourself the potential to live up to their abilities. Or when I say their abilities, I'm talking about the people that do seem to have God-given talent, like Floyd Mayweather or Mike Tyson or Manny Pacquiao or these guys. Don't discredit yourself from being able to live up to that potential. But also don't even discredit them. Because when you say that, you're taking away from the years of hard work they've put in. You know, look at the other things that you do in your life. Let's break them down. Do you need to actually do it? Do you need to spend time doing other things? Like, is it the case that you need to, I don't know, watch TV and movies and music videos and just be on your phone watching whatever on YouTube for so long? Or is it the case that, you know, instead of dedicating so much time to those unproductive pursuits and unproductive activities, maybe you could take it and you could spend it doing watching boxing fights, Like, don't you want to be a boxing master? Why don't you watch every single magnificent boxing fight that's out there? You know, if there's skillful fighters out there that you could be studying, what's the point, you know, of watching that movie on Netflix? And I'm not saying, you know, totally don't do it at all, but I'm saying some people overdo it. You know, you should never ever have a day where you're spending the whole day just watching movies. That's just weird to me. Like, that truly is just so weird to me. And you see, when you don't give your all and you know that you could have done more, that's when regret comes in. If the universe rejects you, it's still better than regret. Like, if you try your best at something and you really are trying and you still fail at it, that still feels better than if you didn't give it your all. Just because you go into the gym and training, it don't mean you're giving your all. Like, are you giving your all when you're at training? I mean, mentally and physically. And you could lightly train, but also be dedicated to it. For example, some days you might want to do heavy training and light training. Like Hatton, he used to have days where I think it was like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, he used to do hard training, and then Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and it was light training. A lot of fighters do that, to be fair. But you see, that he's doing it that way so that he doesn't mess up his body. But it's still the case that you could be lightly training, but mentally you're focused. Anyway, the point is, make sure at first, when it comes down to it, when you're introduced to a new concept, a new skill, a new technique, you see someone doing something that you haven't seen before, initially, you should be so kind of almost arrogant to the point that you say, I think I can do that too. If he can do it, I can do it too. And then after that, go out and test it. And if you do that, there's no way that you're not going to capitalize on your full potential. So that's it from me. Stay focused. Let's get it. ChampSet.